Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Greer and it's so lovely to have you here with me today. I recently celebrated my 26th birthday, and it's usually around times like these where I tend to do a lot of self-reflection. And I figured today I would share with you some of the life lessons I've learned that have brought me to the point I'm at today, specifically 26 of those life lessons that have shaped me, that have at times made me uncomfortable, but that have ultimately made me who I am. Before I do that, I would like to say a few things. Firstly, thank you so much for all of the positive support and feedback on my first couple of videos. I really appreciate it, and I promise you that there is so much more to come. Secondly, I want to acknowledge my privilege, being here, able to sit here today, fully clothed, fed, with a roof over my head, and being able to share these lessons with you. I know it's a privilege that I do not take for granted. And thirdly, I want to say I know that some of these may or may not apply to you, and that's completely fine. Just take whatever you can from this video. Some of the points I will elaborate on, and others I think speak for themselves. And then finally, I want to say that I know some of these will change. This list of lessons may change. I may realize in the coming years that my beliefs or my values are different. And I think that is a perfect segue into my first point, which is that you are allowed to change. Whether that's your opinions, your beliefs, your likes, your dislikes. Don't let anybody, don't let society box you into an identity that you know you've outgrown. Not everyone will understand your growth, and that's okay. People will come into your life, some will stay, some will go, but it's important that you never sacrifice staying true to who you are in order to maintain or preserve a relationship. As cliched as it is, health is indeed wealth. During the average day, you're probably not thinking about the processes going on in your body. The neurons firing in your brain, the blood flowing through your veins, your heart beating. But our bodies do so much for us on a daily basis. And so I think it's important, and it's the least we could do to return the favor by eating well, exercising regularly, just being good to ourselves, practicing good wellness habits. There's nothing wrong with going solo, and I think more people can benefit from spending time on their own and being okay in solitude, whether that's, taking a trip by yourself, taking yourself out to dinner, going to a movie on your own. There's nothing weird or taboo about that, and I think you might be surprised to see how much you can learn about yourself outside of the context of a social group. Self-reflection is powerful, and one of the ways that I do that is through journaling. I think it's amazing how much you can learn about yourself, by going through old journal entries, seeing the way that you coped during different circumstances, how your perspective on an issue changed, the ways that you view the world, how those things change on a day-to-day basis, over the months, over the years. Speak up to get what you want. This is something that I'm still learning to do. It doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not a very outgoing or persistent person. If you have been to an HBCU, if you attended an HBCU, shout out to my alma mater, the illustrious Howard University, then you'll be familiar with the infamous runaround. Having to constantly stay in contact with the administrator's office, bursar's office, your academic counselors to make sure that you're graduating on time, that your scholarships are in order. Those things are a real lesson in, as I said, persistence and learning to be an advocate for yourself. Be a lifelong learner. Don't get complacent with the knowledge that you already have. I know that's very easy for us who, you've been to school and you learn things in a traditional setting and you think that that's the end of your education. But ideally, I think we should be trying to learn something new every day, and we don't have an excuse not to do that because there's so many resources out there that are often free, whether it's, books or websites, videos, podcasts. There's just a wealth of information out there for us to benefit from. Mindfulness is grounding. Sometimes you just need to sit still and not do anything, not think about what society expects you to do, what you expect from yourself, what your parents expect from you, what your friends are doing. Sometimes you just need to sit and be grateful for the life that you have and being alive in the moment, and just cherish that. Most people aren't thinking about you or judging you as much as you think they are. And either way, it's not worth it to live your life on anyone else's terms. Your job does not define you. It does not dictate your worth. Don't let adulthood be the end of all childhood joys. What I mean by that is, I think it's important for us to revisit some of the things like books and movies and shows that marked the innocence of our childhood before we had to take on serious adult responsibilities. And I don't think that reliving positive childhood moments is something to be ashamed of, especially if you had a good childhood. Give yourself grace when you need it. I know we can be our own worst critics. I certainly can. Sometimes we can become very militant about maintaining our routines and our habits, and then when we fall off of them, we tend to be very hard on ourselves. But it's natural to make mistakes and to sort of fall off the wagon from time to time, but it's important that you give yourself the grace to get back on and to keep going. Your parents are people too. When we're young, we tend to see our parents as our caretakers. You know, they have all the answers. They're there to save us from the problems that we have and the challenges, and they guide us through life. And what happens is that when they show any signs of weakness, we don't extend the same kindness and understanding that we expect from them. So what we have to remember is that they are also people. They have their own insecurities and fears and desires and goals, and they deserve to exist outside of the role of being your parent. Let the people that you love know that you love them. You can be talking to someone today, looking them in their eye right this moment, and then a few hours later find out that they're no longer in this world. And that's just how the world works sometimes, and it's sad, but it should serve as a reminder never to take anyone for granted. Document your life. Take photos, videos, audio recordings, write letters. Leave something for yourself and generations to come after you, something to look back on and to reflect on. Practice gratitude every day. I have found that it's very easy to get caught up and self-absorbed and engrossed in the everyday drudgery of our lives. You know, what comes next? What can I achieve next? And I think that we forget that there was a time where we wanted the things that we have now. There's space for all of us to succeed. I grew up in a very competitive academic environment where, you know, I always wanted to make sure that I was the best. I had the best grades. I was doing better academically than my classmates. And I think that sort of spilled into other aspects of my life where I became this perfectionist who always wanted to make sure that, you know, I was the best at everything. I think that can be very dangerous and unhealthy and often contributes to burnout. There is no need to be overly competitive about anything, especially if it means stepping over somebody else to get what you want. Everything in moderation. This is something that I grew up hearing my parents saying, and it helps me to strike a balance in my life to this day. You can have too much of the bad things, whether that's drinking, partying, binging TV shows, playing The Sims for hours on end. And you can have too much of the good things as well, you know, being too productive, you know, burning yourself out or giving yourself too selflessly in relationships. So it's important that you try to strike a balance between those things. It pays to be selfless in more ways than one. When we give of ourselves, when we share our resources, when we give people a shoulder to lean on, those are the moments in which we make the world infinitely better. You never know what people are going through. That person who did not allow you to merge this morning when you were driving trying to get to work, the cashier who looks like they would rather be doing anything else than be at their job, or, you know, the coworker who seems to be perpetually in a bad mood. You don't know what those people are going through. So sometimes you just need to give people the benefit of the doubt and show some empathy. Invest your money, whether that's in stocks, bonds, real estate, a business of your own. Research and find ways to make your money work for you. On the other side of that coin, spend your money. It's all well and good to be the most frugal person, to save all of your money, but the reality is that one day you could lose it all. So I'm not saying to be irresponsible. It's important for you to develop and to stick to your personal financial goals, but not to the extent where you are limiting yourself and you're unable to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Things have a way of working themselves out in life, but manifestation requires action. Allowing yourself to believe that you deserve what you want out of life is only one part of the equation, because the other part is that you have to take action and position yourself to receive the things that you want. You don't need to have everything in life figured out. Sometimes you need uncertainty, and that has been another difficult lesson for me to learn, because I'm somebody who always likes to know what comes next. And it's a defense mechanism, because the way our brain works is that it likes to protect us from uncertainty and unfamiliarity and discomfort. But I think, sometimes you just need to learn to sit with uncertainty, and you may be surprised to see what you discover about yourself and what you want out of life in those moments. And the final point that I want to share with you, the final lesson that I have learned, is that I am insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And I know you might be thinking, why would I ever want to end this list on that note? But hear me out. One of my favorite intellectuals is Carl Sagan. He was a renowned planetary scientist, astronomer, astrophysicist, and he wrote extensively about the universe. There's a point in one of his books where he talks about how small we are, when we look at the universe at large. And the quote reads, "Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world." Oof, we got deep there for a second. What I think, what I think really strikes me about this is that it reminds me that I am but a mere blip in time, in this vast universe, as Carl Sagan would say, on this mote of dust suspended in a sunbeam. I won't be around forever. My existence will someday be forgotten. While that is hard to come to terms with, I think the sooner I realize those things, the sooner I'll be able to live my life with a higher sense of purpose and drive and fulfillment. And so I hope that is what you can take away from this last learning as well. That's been all from me for today. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and let me know, what are some of your life learnings? What are some of the principles and things that have guided you in your day-to-day? I'd love to hear some of those. Let's share those with each other in the comments. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.